Hello everybody and welcome to Unicorn Horns, a discussion series about Chinese science fiction. And we're back. A lot has changed, but we're here, and we're here to talk about Tang Fei and her story, Call Girl. Like many authors we will cover in this series, Tang Fei was brought to the West through English translation by the amazing Ken Liu. Ken Liu has published 2 collections of translated science fiction stories from China since 2017. The second one, published in 2019, was called Broken Stars, named after a story by Tang Fei. And the first one is called Invisible Planets, and that is where you will find today's story, Call Girl. English translations of Tang Fei's stories have been published in Clarkesworld, Paper Republic, and Apex Magazine. You can read all of these stories now for free, and I posted a link below, so if you're interested, you can check it out there. You can also read today's short story for free through Apex Magazine, so if you're so inclined, you can go do that now and come back, or just go do that now and not come back. It's fine with me, as long as you read the story. The story follows a 15-year-old girl named Tang Xiaoyi. The beginning of the story hints at the idea that Xiaoyi is a traditional call girl. She leaves a stack of cash behind for her mother in the morning. People keep their distance from her at school. Her classmates talk about her behind her back. Later, a middle-aged man picks her up in his limousine and takes her off somewhere. Once she is inside the limousine, however, we realize that Xiaoyi is not selling sex, actually. She is selling stories. The rest of this story takes place inside that limousine. Xiaoyi and the middle-aged man debate for a little while about what kind of story he wants told to him. Eventually, Xiaoyi chooses to tell him a gentle story. She begins to control the world around them, bringing the man into this world where she has complete control. She brings stories to the man in the shape of dogs. Stories are like dogs, she says. When called, they appear. Xiaoyi continues to bring stories to the man in the shape of dogs, first growing in quantity and then growing in size. But the man is not impressed. He wants more. The last story Xiaoyi shows the man, they journey into the ocean. This time the story does not take the shape of a dog. It takes the shape of the water around them and completely envelops them. And Xiaoyi says to the man, "The dog is only a shape to make them easier to call and to be accepted. But here you see them in their native state." No, that's not exactly right either. Fundamental nature consists of zeros and ones, part of the ultimate database. This sea is an illusion, a projection of that fundamental nature. The sea of data is too big to be compressed into the shape of a dog. Of course, you may still call it a dog. From the perspective of the story, nothing is impossible. In the end, the man is happily consumed by the story, and Xiaoyi makes her way home. Another day done, another job finished. So, Call Girl is a story about stories. Here, stories stand as a metaphor for any number of things. They stand for culture, for personal identity, for desire, and even for nationhood. To me, the stories in Call Girl represent a kind of entertainment and consumerism in the world that we now live in. This modern, insatiable desire with entertainment and immediate gratification, this idea of being enveloped in streaming TV shows and YouTube videos, and this notion of binge watching and rabbit holes. What Tang Fei is describing in her story, taking this man from a puppy all the way down to being lost into the ocean of story, sounds to me a lot like the feeling of going down a rabbit hole and just becoming immersed in this world of entertainment that sort of takes over the real world. One small internet video, maybe of a cute puppy or a cute cat, soon becomes all-encompassing, and sooner or later we find ourselves in this mindless expanse. In one section of Tang Fei's story, she writes something that, to me, sounds a lot like this idea of consumption. In this section, the man is in the final story, and Tang Fei describes his feeling. The man can feel the transparent currents, 1100, 110111, pass by him. They'll flow to the countless trenches and caves at the bottom of the sea, and leave this place behind. Someday, this ancient source will dry up too, but not now. As far as the man is concerned, it is eternity. For me, this gives a real sense of the feeling of consumption and this idea of being lost in this endless abyss of entertainment and story and the internet. Which brings us back to Xiaoyi, who is, of course, the storyteller. At first, Xiaoyi tells us that she thinks that stories are kind of easy, that they just come when they're called. But the more obsessive her audience becomes, the more she is asked to give of herself. And by the end of the story, you can really see that this storytelling has taken a toll on her. These stories are unsustainable for her, but they are also beyond her control. The stories are the only thing keeping her sane, and they're also the only things keeping her alive. And then again, perhaps Xiaoyi is trapped within her own story, a story that she is telling herself about the things that she has control over. I think you could say that we are all trapped within our own stories, and that we have this false sense that we have control over the narrative of our own lives. Countries too tell stories about themselves. There are a lot of ways of looking at the metaphor of story in Call Girl. The strength of Call Girl lies in its depth, despite its brevity. It is really a quick smack on the head with a hammer and really requires several readings to get a real understanding of what is going on. Tang Fei also gave a great interview with Ken Liu on Clarkesworld, and I'll post that link below as well if you're interested in checking that out. At one point in the interview, Tang Fei writes, "With my stories, I don't just express my feelings. I'm also trying to understand the society around me, the age I'm living through, everything that I witness or experience. Sometimes events overtake us like speeding cars, and we need the time and means to digest them." So I recommend, if you haven't already, to read Call Girl and any other stories from Tang Fei that you're interested in reading. Like I said, I'll leave some links below so you can read the story we talked about today, as well as a couple of other stories. So anyway, that's it for today. Feel free to write a comment, or to subscribe, or to hit the notification button, or anything you want. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks.